So, you know how, so I heard this quote once by Aisha K. Baines, and she said, we're all emotional beings using logic to explain it. Hmm. One more time. We're all emotional beings using logic to explain it. Now, I have some thoughts, some arguments I could make to support that claim, but in the world of Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, I think this is a really fascinating point because, like everything online, a lot of people are trying to make very sound logical points by evoking emotion. By evoking emotion. Oh, it's true. And I do find this irony that usually there are a group of men online on the internet here. When they want to make their point known, that they have this sound, reasonable argument. Oh, how angry do they get? Oh my, oh me, oh my, oh me, oh my. It's, oh goodness, it tickles me. It really does. It just tickles me because you have such veracity behind your point and your well thought out logic and linear thinking rational brain and the emotion behind it. My God, are we really here to exchange facts and to have mental stimulation and intellectual discord? Or are we just here because we're upset someone doesn't agree with us? Someone doesn't agree. Oh. Oh goodness. I know I should cut it out. Really. I should cut it out. But anyway, back to Erica Kirk and Candace Owens because it's so interesting how they are just hitting so many markers in the mainstream culture that we live in here in the US. So there is a key emotion here. Both are presenting. One, I would say, quite familiar to the Christian faith, and that is shame. Making someone feel shame or telling people they should feel ashamed. Okay. So on the Candace Owens side, it's Erica, the sus widow, who is grieving but not really grieving. And all of these very unusual and strange connections being made. And the focus of the business and the publicity over husband and legacy and the behavior and all of the people behind Erica on the Candace Owens side of the chessboard. Shame on you. You should be ashamed. Erica should be ashamed. The men who are supporting her in the new direction of TP USA should be ashamed. Cut. Right? Other side of the game board. So now, Erica Kirk looking at Candace Owens. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. There's this old friend of Charlie's who won't stop talking about Charlie's death. And instead of just letting people grieve and a man pass on and transition to the other side, Every week she's talking about it. 4 to 5 times a week she's talking about it. Millions of people watching in her line of work and profession with money, right? You should be ashamed. Those who support Candace Owens should be ashamed. Okay, so I say we get a little more nitty gritty on the shame. Okay, so I mentioned a couple things. We got money. Who is profiting? Who is profiting off the death? Right. This is a tit for tat, back and forth. And the way they make people sway is through shame. Okay, so we got the money. Right. Now we got TPUSA. Right. So the direction Erica's taking TPUSA, the professionals running TPUSA, and the background that's being found out about each of them and their connections and their prior histories, kind of breaching on criminal record territory, thus connections internationally. Not looking the best, right? So, is this how you run business? Is this how you continue on the legacy? Are these the kind of people you bring around your spouse? Shame. It may not be direct, may not be like shame on you, but I think enough people have actually been like shame on you. Pin in that, okay? So then we have a prior employer of TPUSA who is familiar with the showdown, the rundown, how things go, asking questions, poking holes in stories, seeing what's what. Parted ways from TPUSA, parted ways from her friend because of money and political interest, right? And now she represents a whole symbol of shame. If you're associated with that woman, shame on you, sir. Shame on you, man. She represents the whole thing of shame, you know? Because she represents nothing good. She's biased, she's discriminatory. She just keeps talking about things that have been settled. She's a disruption, she's an irritant, and she has no morals, no respect for family or grief. Shame. Shame on you. Okay. So TPUSA level, there's the shame. The sus connections, shame. Being split apart from TPUSA and now representing something that is the opposite of Christian living because of an interest in another country in the Middle East in war. Shame. Okay. Okay. Now we'll just hit emotion straight on the head. We got Erica Kirk over here. The crying, the grieving. But it's not super convincing to a lot of the people out here. The interviews, the tissues, the tears that may not have actually been tears, but just scrunched face. Are you really sad? Are you faking it? Shame on you. Candace Owens. Anger. Throws herself into work. Talking. Digging. Asking questions. Loudly, publicly. Have you no shame? Have you no dignity for death and grief and widows and children? Your emotion of anger, your approach of confrontation. Horrific, horrific. Shame, shame, shame. So, where does this come in for you and I, right? So, Scarlett, she was talking about perception and narrative. And it's really interesting because I'd like to build on what she was saying. There is a progression where you see something and you perceive it. Your brain does an interpretation of it. Then you decide where you stand within it. And from this stance, you participate. I feel like I need to say that one more time. You see something, you perceive it. From that perception, your brain then functions into an interpretation. From that interpretation, you stand within it. In your stance is how you participate with it. Shame. Seems to be one of the most common techniques on the internet of making a point. And who is right, who is wrong, who is superior, who is more trustworthy, who has the better position to stand in, and then you can participate from that lens. If you're on that side and you're participating over there, can I get you to reinterpret what you see, what you've perceived? Because you have an interpretation that puts you on that side of the board, or you have an interpretation that puts you on that side of the board. But we're all participating here. And I'd rather you participate on my side. So the participation, right above the participation, is interpretation. How can I change your interpretation? Because you've already perceived. You've already perceived the women. You've already perceived the circumstances. You've already perceived. You've seen. There's a point of entry in the eyes, in the mind, in the body, in your field, the energy. And then your mind creates an interpretation for you to orient yourself. I stand here. They don't want you standing over there. They don't want you standing over there. So if I can change your interpretation, then I can shift how you participate on the board, how you participate or engage with me, how you participate or engage with them. Perhaps there is no vocal participation. There is no literal participation. There's no acknowledgement. But you participate as a spectator, as a viewer, as a scroller. And that feeds into the algorithm, feeds into attention in the screen. Viewers, creators, channels, what's customized for you So even if your participation is in battles, you're participating as a viewer, as a spectator. You've already seen with your eyes. Next, how you interpret what you see with your eyes is very relevant because that determines how you participate. So if you have an interpretation that's less favorable on the Candace side of the game board, or that's less favorable on the Erica side of the game board, a way to shift how you interpret something is to shift how you feel. If you shift how you feel, your interpretation changes. You have less compassion. You are feeling more fired up. You are feeling disgusted. You are feeling curious. Shifting your interpretation, the most common way in our time is through your emotion, changes the lens. So, shame is a heavy hitter, right? If you feel ashamed of yourself for supporting someone, if you feel ashamed of yourself for thinking something, if you feel ashamed of yourself for concluding, if you feel ashamed of yourself for deducting, if you feel ashamed of yourself for seeing something someone else didn't want you to see, it changes how you participate. Because this is what's so brilliant about Scarlet. Let's go back from the top. We perceive, we see something, we perceive with our eyes, we interpret it. When we interpret something, the mind creates a story. This person's this, this person's this, this person's this. In the story, there's a plot. They want this, they're afraid of this, they're going after this. In the story, there's movement. They scheme, they podcast, they lie, they build community. There's a story, there's a story, there's a story, there's a story. And now we get a narrative. Okay, so and so does this, so and so does this, so and so's like this, so and so's like this. They're doing this because they're like this. They talk like this because they're like this. Okay, got it. Now that I know that, I'll stand here. This is my position for my interpretation, and I participate accordingly, whether it's directly or indirectly. Or I participate or not at all. I just watch. I'm just aware. There's a participation. So we see, we perceive, we narrate, we interpret, we narrate, take a stance, and participate. Shamed is something very interesting. Shame brings the focus, brings the sight down and in, internal. You're ashamed. The body even mimics it. You're ashamed. You're ashamed. You can't look. You can't stand up straight. You don't have good posture. Your voice gets slower. You're ashamed. You can't. You don't even want to look at someone and you feel ashamed. The energy of shame, how it moves through the body, is down and in. If someone wants you to participate in a different part of the game board, why would they focus on shame? Because instead of looking at them, you look at yourself, even if there's no reason to. Even if you're just a person on the internet looking at two sides of a debate, of a conflict, of a battle, of beef. But if you see so and so has a point, the other one will be like, you should be ashamed of yourself. And we don't use that language anymore. That's basically what they're saying. They insult your intelligence, they insult your morals, they insult your character, they question your intention, your integrity, your motives, your desires, say you're twisted evil or demonic. Mm-hmm. Because if I call you a bad name, you should feel bad about yourself. And if you feel bad about yourself for what you think, for what you say, for what you speak, for what you see, for where you stand, if I can make you feel bad enough, shame, it comes in. We're all emotional beings using logic to explain it. There's more. But for now, just some thoughts.